to the Miami-Dade Chamber of Commerce Member Connection. I am your host, Eric Knowles. But before we get started, a word from one of our supporters.
Miami-Dade College has career paths in anything you want to be. What's your story? Be global. Be cutting edge. Be inventive. Be investigative. Be a hero. What do you want to be? Be the best. Be you. Be MDC.
All right, welcome back to the Miami-Dade Chamber of Commerce Member Connection. I am your host, Eric Knowles, and you already know the deal. Yes, I'm excited. I'm excited because of the information we bring to our members, the information that we bring to our community, and because of our guest. And I have a very special guest today, Miss Patron. How are you?
I am very well and excited to be here as well.
You know, we met a few weeks ago, basically. I know you've been engaged with the Chamber for a while now. We're talking about some of the events that you have attended, and but obviously before that, you are with Florida Blue.
I am, and I do remember that event very well. It was your business summit, and it was AI focused, and what a wealth of information.
Yeah, no, that was really great. You know, we do our symposium and business leaders lunch every year, and as you said, this year was focused on AI. Last year, I believe we focused on housing, and the year before that, transportation. So the things that impact our community from a business perspective. But one of the things that impacts our community is health.
It does. You just can't, avoid it. If you're not healthy, it's very difficult to be productive, to enjoy life, to enjoy your children. So yes, it is.
Absolutely. You know, and that's very important, as you said. If you're not healthy, life it can be very challenging, and it doesn't matter how much money you have. So it's about being healthy. Florida Blue has been around. I know there used to be Blue Cross and Blue Shield, if anybody remembers that.
Yeah.
How long has Florida Blue been around?
So Florida Blue is celebrating 80 years this year. So yes, we have been in this community embedded for quite some time. We have really grown and evolved throughout time. We are a rather large company. I think now we have over 6 million Floridians that we serve.
Wow.
Which would be about 1 in 3 Floridians. We have really developed our Florida Blue Centers, which are areas that you can go to receive services, whether you're a Florida Blue member or not. And that really fulfills our mission of trying to build healthy individuals and healthy communities.
Well, that's interesting that you say that, whether you are a Florida Blue member or not. Can you go into that a little bit?
Sure. One of the important things I think that distinguishes Florida Blue is we are part of Guidewell Mutual Holdings, which is a not-for-profit. So they are very mission-based. So what they do is, besides having these centers, we have a number of programs out there that really are out there to support our communities and help them become healthier. So an extension of that is our Florida Blue Centers. We have here in Miami, we have 3, one in North Miami Beach, one in Hialeah, and one down near the falls, that Kendall area.
Okay.
And these centers are just fabulous. We have a nurse on site, which can do some basic wellness checks for you. We also have, we call them community specialists, and they are trained social workers.
Okay.
And they're there to guide individuals who may have a need, a condition, whether it be, how do I sign up for food stamps? How do I find a certain help for a condition that my child may have? So anybody, member or not, can go to these centers. We also have classes, nutrition classes. Right now we have employability classes, which we're doing in partnership with Career Source.
Right.
So people that are looking for how to become employed in jobs can get training there as well.
Yeah.
And I can go on and on. I'm sorry.
No,
and I know you only have 20
want
minutes.
You to, no. This is great. And I mean, you mentioned Career Source, our good friend Rick Beasley, and the work that he does. But again, there's so many options when it comes to healthcare. How does one, from your perspective, go about making a choice or making a decision?
I'm glad you asked. One of the things that my team and I do, as well as the entire organization, is really go out in the communities and educate them. Sometimes people will make a decision on a health plan based on maybe what their family member had, a good friend recommended, but we're also individual.
Hmm.
And when you're looking for a health plan, number one, you really want to make sure that your doctors are included in that health plan. You also want to make sure that your medications, that the services. So if you had a condition, do they provide a service where they're reaching out to you? We have nurses that licensed clinical social workers as well that will reach out to you if you suddenly been diagnosed with some type of a condition. So you're really looking for that home, that medical home that's really going to take care of you. So I would always encourage somebody looking for insurance, number one, to speak to a broker. They are so very well versed in that, and they are really able to discern. We have anyone that's a Florida Blue broker will be able to certainly guide you to all of the benefits and what's the best product for you.
Right. And again, the name is Florida Blue. So, and I know you mentioned the parent company. Are there other Blue insurance companies in other states, or are we?
Yes, we are part of the Blue Cross Blue Shield Association.
Right.
So in Florida, we are that representative. Florida Blue, as you said, sometimes people aren't sure of the connection to Blue Cross Blue Shield.
Right.
It's just a lot easier to say Florida Blue than to say
Right.
Blue Cross Blue
It's
Shield
marketing,
of Florida.
yeah.
Yeah. But it
no,
does
I
create
like
a little
that.
confusion.
Yeah. And so with that, basically, you're able to take that and go anywhere with it.
You are
Because that
depending
too-
on your product, right?
Right.
Certain products will have a very narrow network, and
Okay.
in order to be in, I mean, if you have an emergency, you can go.
Yeah. With, the whole PPO,
to
HMO.
So we love to give those Insurance 101 courses. And
Right.
we actually, in those courses, we educate you about health insurance in general. We don't speak about our products. And we do go into that because it is very confusing. Understanding subsidies. So many people are eligible for some type of a subsidy, and they're
Okay.
just unaware of it. So we like to share
When you
that.
say subsidies, can you explain?
Sure. So when the Affordable Care Act came out, many people know of it here as Obamacare, and they're confused between what is ACA and what is Obamacare. That's just a common term
Right.
people use. They offer what they call an advanced premium tax credit, which means instead of having to pay a certain amount in taxes, the government is giving you the opportunity to apply that to your health insurance premium.
Okay. Yeah, I'm familiar with you. Yeah.
Yeah.
So you're not taxed on certain dollars.
So what you get is actually a credit.
Okay.
So let's say Eric Knowles was only making, I'm going to throw a number out there, not exact, but let's say you were about the $15,000 range and you qualified for a full premium tax credit. What would happen would be they would send, CMS would send that money to the payer, and they would pay for your insurance premium. When you, at the end of the year, do your taxes, that amount is reflected there, and it would become a credit on
Okay.
that. So now if Eric Knowles instead earned $30,000, it's really important to always report and put on the correct amount. What will happen is the IRS will say, oh my goodness, I gave you a subsidy thinking you only earned $15,000. You didn't get that much for your subsidy. So they will come and they will tax you back for that.
Okay.
They will come and collect it is the right word.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, we're going to get into, I know that there are plans that employers help their employees. And obviously we as a chamber, we have small businesses, maybe 1 to 2 individuals. And sometimes it's very challenging for small businesses to either provide insurance for their employees or even for themselves. But we're going to get into that. We're going to take a little break. We're going to hear from one of our supporters, and we'll be back on the other side.
Learn and earn today at Miami-Dade College. College graduates earn 56% more than high school graduates and $1 million more in lifetime earnings. A degree from MDC is your path to greater earning power and career success. Choose from hundreds of affordable high-tech and in-demand career programs, including cybersecurity, artificial intelligence, business, and nursing. Learn and earn today at MDC and fast-track your career. Enroll now at mdc.edu/purpose.
Hi, and welcome back. We're here talking about Florida Blue with Ms. Patron. It's exciting. You know, one of the challenges that small businesses have providing insurance for their employees or even for themselves. And before we took a break, you were talking about the tax breaks and you were explaining something during the break. You want to go back to that?
Absolutely. So when you apply for insurance under ACA, or individual family, you can qualify for a subsidy, which is really an advanced premium tax credit. You'll see the acronym APTC.
Okay.
I do encourage people to speak to their brokers and check based on their income. Many times people aren't aware that they do actually qualify for some type of a subsidy and will forego having insurance, which is really sad because many times they will end up going to the emergency room, which probably isn't the right setting for them to have their primary care. They should really be working with a doctor continuously.
Right. So, and again, here we go with the challenges that employees have or employers have to take care of their employees. Does Florida Blue do group insurance?
Yeah, we certainly do.
Exactly.
We do from small group, which would be businesses under 50 employees.
Okay.
We do mid group, which would be 50 up to, I believe it's about 400 or 499. And then we do very large group and interstate. So we have thousands and thousands groups that are very large. For each one, there are different types of products. We try to make sure we have something to accommodate everybody. As you mentioned, some businesses might want to go fully insured. So we'll have a package for them. They'll purchase the insurance, but others would rather take on the risk and manage their employees themselves. So those are called self-insured.
Okay.
And we can accommodate both of those models very well.
I never know if I heard of the self-insured.
So it is actually a growing segment.
Okay.
We actually offer that in all of our products, whether it's a small group, a mid group, or a large group. And how that functions is the payer, which would be us, we would manage the billing. The business would use our network of providers, but they actually take on the full risk on that. And we certainly help them try to manage that risk. But yes, there's so many different models.
That's got to be quite, that's interesting that a company would actually take on the health risk. Can you explain that a little more?
Sure. I'm not the most versed in it. We certainly have people much more experienced, but certain organizations may have a much healthier population, and they feel that instead of being quoted more or less what would be as the community,
right? They
would much rather manage that themselves, and it is done very successfully. Right. In addition,
and I've heard of where companies have, I guess they get breaks because of healthy employees, et cetera, et cetera. Does Florida Blue have a plan like that because of, the employees are, going to the gym or they're taking yoga, they're doing these different things?
We do have programs. I'm not sure if it would be breaks. And again, that would be our sales team.
Right.
But we certainly do have programs where actually we even go in and help and encourage them. And there are programs that do have rewards for people that do follow a healthier lifestyle.
Right.
So those do exist. Yes.
Okay. Now, obviously, we're talking about employers and employees. What about folks who find themselves retiring or on Medicare? Does Florida Blue participate?
We do as well. We do. We have Medicare Advantage plans, as well as we have Medicare Supplement plans, which would be for individuals that are on traditional Medicare but want to purchase the additional coverage for whether it be for medications or the ambulatory section. So yes.
Okay. And I know one thing that's confusing for a lot of people is Medicare and Medicaid.
Yes. Yes. And you can actually have both. You can have Medicaid and Medicare. Those are duals. So Medicaid is a program for people that could either be on disability, but also have a very low income. And it's sort of a great
subsidy option and support.
Right. For them to have health care.
So what's the future of health and the many different health companies, where do you see us going?
You know, I see we continuously evolve. We're always looking to see ways that we can make health insurance more affordable. We also try to make it more accessible. That is one of our missions. And that's why we've put out so many different types of grants, because we understand that this works both ways, right?
Hmm.
We want to make sure that our communities have what they need to stay healthy. We want to make sure that we can do what's necessary to keep them healthy. So I do see a lot more of that engagement. You'll see us around an awful lot doing that, doing health fairs, helping food insecurity. That's a huge mission for us.
Okay.
Health equity is another important area for us, and mental health. And I'd love to call. I know we're being recorded here at Miami-Dade College.
Right.
Miami-Dade College actually won a grant from Florida Blue about a couple of years ago
Okay.
for mental health, and they are doing a fantastic job with that.
Well, as we were waiting before we came on, we were talking, and I just wanted to thank you for your involvement and engagement with the Miami-Dade Chamber of Commerce. I just really appreciate the fact that you have been out and about. You're out in the community. You've attended many of the events that we do, engaging with the community. Why is that important?
In order to serve a community, you really need to understand the community. And it's not about reading about it academically. It's really about being out there amongst them. You'll see, even here in Miami, how different one little neighborhood is to another, and they can be adjacent. So for us, that is really important. We have members all over the state, and we're just trying to make sure that we're always serving them the way that they prefer. For instance, I talked about our Florida Blue Center in North Miami. We have trilingual service agents. We have English, Spanish, and Creole,
Okay.
because that neighborhood is more of that demographic. So
Absolutely.
how do we serve them best? Make sure they understand, what the customer is asking for. We call them our members.
Hmm. And again, the chamber, we've been around for 50 years, not quite 80. And our mission is to provide opportunities for economic and social transformation in our community. We do have a health committee, and I know you're getting involved with
Yes.
that. And again, as we talked about, if you have health issues, it doesn't matter how much money you make. You can't get to work, or whether it's a family and the children, or you have to stay home and take care of the kids. Again, tell our audience why it's important from your perspective, and the role that Florida Blue plays in that.
Again, it's really about being mission based, and that comes down from our CEO. We feel it every day. We get up and go to work because there is a purpose. I find working here so transformational, and it's our responsibility to be able to help those that haven't either been as fortunate or haven't had the resources or been exposed to what we have. So I think more than anything, it's a responsibility that we have.
Right.
And any way we can do it, as you say, resources to help others. We have scholarship programs for people that want to get into healthcare.
Okay.
We want to make sure that those that get into these careers, it's not because they didn't have the opportunity. We want to make sure everyone has an opportunity.
No, that's
to
great
do
to
that.
know.
So please reach out anytime for that
Absolutely.
information.
Speaking about reaching out, if someone wanted to learn more about those scholarships, how can they?
Absolutely. So we have a website, we have a foundation, floridablue.com, and you can look up our foundation. If it wasn't, I'm just calling out Miami-Dade because we're here, but we have many
right.
universities. You can go onto their website and you will see our scholarships listed there
Okay.
as well. But we have them all over the state.
Okay. So what would you say in our last minute would be a challenge that you see?
That's a good one. Our biggest challenge, I think, is being everywhere that we'd like to be. We really do try. And we understand that there are areas that we are just not making the impact we would really desire to make. And it's frustrating.
Mm-hmm.
It is frustrating. And just sometimes just having to choose, where do you spend most of your time? And when I say that, I mean in terms of everything, whether it's doing health fairs, taking out our mammogram buses, mental health. I can go through so many. I would
Right.
say that's probably the biggest challenge.
Right. Trying to be there
Trying to
for our
be
community.
where it's most needed.
Right.
Correct.
And again, how can they get in touch with Florida Blue?
Look up on the website, floridablue.com. You can also go to one of our Florida Blue centers. I encourage people to go there. It is so wonderful to walk in and be able to speak to somebody and get a cup of coffee if that's what you'd like, and take a yoga class or speak to a nurse. So I do encourage everybody to try those.
Well, thank you so much. This has been the Miami-Dade Chamber of Commerce Member Connection. We'll see you the next time. Look forward to seeing you here.
Today, I stand before you, a proud graduate of Miami-Dade College and the 5th president of the Miami-Dade Chamber of Commerce. I'm honored to return to the college that prepared me to become a leader in our community, providing an education second to none. So I'm asking you to please tune in every Monday at 12 noon to the Miami-Dade Chamber of Commerce's Member Connection, as I interview members of the Miami-Dade Chamber of Commerce on our Facebook page at Miami-Dade Chamber of Commerce or our YouTube channel, Miami-Dade Chamber of Commerce. To learn more about the Chamber, please go to m-dcc.org or call the Chamber at 305-751-8648.